Good afternoon, this is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding, here to discuss the basics of how immigration, international tax, and offshore disclosure intersect into one big annoying maze. Right? So this is a very common situation. People come to us all the time. I was doing some research. I'm a green card holder, lawful permanent resident, or I've got a visa, H-1B, L-1, B1, B2, and I was doing some research, and I was thinking about getting my citizenship, or I'm thinking about getting a green card, and oh my God, I didn't realize that I had all of these tax requirements to do when I'm on a different status. So generally what happens is, as a U.S. person, you have to pay tax on your worldwide income. You have to report your offshore assets, investments, accounts, and income on various different forms, just depending on category of income and value of accounts, type of accounts. So a lot of times what will happen is people don't realize that U.S. persons means U.S. citizen, legal permanent resident, foreign national who meets a substantial presence test. Most people would think it's just U.S. citizenship, which makes total sense, right? Start doing the research and they realize that they're out of compliance. Some of the main reasons why someone will be out of compliance for U.S. tax, for example, they may have some foreign income, let's say, income that was generated from overseas. Maybe it's tax exempt. Maybe it's not taxable in the foreign country, or there's foreign tax credits, taxes have already been paid. Why do you have to report it in the U.S.? Otherwise, they may have offshore accounts, assets, and investments, bank accounts, life insurance policies, ULIPs, which are unit linked with an investment component. Maybe they have their foreign pensions, super CPFs, other provident funds, et cetera, et cetera. And so what happens is they're doing the research and they realize, wow, I'm supposed to be reporting this the entire time. I want to apply for naturalization. I want to apply for permanent residence. And is this going to be a big problem? What do I do? So some further research will take them to something called offshore disclosure. That's what we specialize in here. Offshore disclosure is things like voluntary disclosure programs, streamlined, reasonable cause, delinquency, et cetera, et cetera. The question becomes, if I enter one of these programs, does that mean that I committed a crime and that now I can't apply for naturalization or permanent residence status? And the question is, and the answer is, of course not, right? That's ridiculous. Let me give you an example. Someone didn't know that they were supposed to report some foreign accounts and income, right? So they realized that for sure they're non-willful. It's not really an issue. While there's no bright line test between willful and non-willfulness, you know non-willful when it's there for sure, right? You didn't know about it. No one ever brought it up to you. Maybe you had these accounts before you came to the U.S. Income is being taken care of. Taxes are being withheld at source. It didn't cross your mind. So you go, okay, I'm going to do the streamline program. By entering the streamline program, that's a mistake. Does that mean when you go to the immigration papers, the N400, the I-485, that you've committed a crime or a violation that you haven't been charged with? No, that's absurd, right? All it means is there was a mistake. When you read through those immigration forms, they don't say, hey, did you make a mistake on your taxes? It doesn't say that. It says, did you commit a crime? Did you commit a crime that you were never caught for? You're supposed to just give up your whole, give yourself up there. Of course not. That's not what it means. So the next question is, well, what happens if I do the voluntary disclosure program? It used to be OVDP. They got rid of OVDP a few years back at the end of 2018. So now VDP, which is the voluntary disclosure program, is for people for offshore and domestic. So you're thinking about getting your status, and whether you're willful or non-willful, you're just not comfortable entering the streamline program, okay? So we'll break this down into kind of bite-sized pieces. In order to do streamlined, you have to be non-willful. Okay. Under the old OVDP, willful or non-willful, there were various reasons why: audit, closing letters, things like that. Non-willful people did OVDP all the time. Under VDP, it's pretty much for people who are either willful or cannot certify under penalty of perjury that they're non-willful. What does that mean, right? See it like this. Willfulness in the civil arena, we are only talking about civil. Willfulness in the civil arena does not mean intentional. There's things like reckless disregard. There's things like willful blindness. Those phrases don't mean you knew you were trying to do something and you were intentionally trying to commit a crime. What it means is maybe I should have, could have, would have known. Maybe I should have researched it further. I had an idea maybe, and I just didn't follow that through. Kind of uncomfortable certifying non-willfulness. I'm just going to do voluntary disclosure. Yeah, it's a 50% penalty, but you can negotiate that sometimes. Or maybe the majority of what you have is international business reporting, and the penalties are kind of wishy-washy on that anyway, and you may be able to get a pretty good deal. Does that mean you committed a crime? Of course not. You didn't intentionally try to avoid tax. You didn't intentionally try to evade tax with, weasel words like reckless disregard and willful blindness. You are just uncomfortable certifying under penalty of perjury. Does that mean you have to identify, yes, you committed a crime on either the 485 or the 400? Of course not. Now, if you did commit a crime, then it's different, right? But civil willfulness and criminal willfulness are not the same thing, okay? In order to prove you committed a crime, they got to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. There are much more elements to it. For the civil arena, it's essentially, hey, I'm just not super comfortable certifying non-willfulness, and therefore I'm going to do VDP. Doesn't mean you committed a crime, okay? So the important takeaway from this is, if you submit to streamlined or reasonable cause of delinquency, no issue. If you submit to voluntary disclosure program, and it's because you're not sure where you kind of teeter between lower levels of non-willfulness and lower levels of willfulness and higher levels of non-willfulness, or you're just not comfortable doing it, the streamline, let's say, that's okay too. If you knew for sure you were committing tax evasion, then you've got another problem, and you probably want to speak to counsel. But even then, who knows? You want to talk it through with a certified specialist and get the lay of the land. Various programs are available. You should reach out to a board certified specialist to talk through the different programs. We have tons of free information available on our main website, goldenlawyers.com, and our sub websites. You can always reach out and schedule a reduced fee initial consultation if you think it's appropriate. Again, my name is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.